Hello, hello. We are just waiting for everyone to get in here. A couple minutes. We'll be starting in a few minutes. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the webinar. Pop your name in here and let me know where you're from. And also let me know if you can hear me. Okay, can you guys hear me? Hey, Peter. Fantastic. Peter from Vancouver. Okay, LA. So LA, are you from LA? Okay. I see we've got Kay in, Fez from Chicago, but living in Atlanta. Fantastic. So we're gonna go ahead and get started because I like to start on time. Everybody else will just start rolling on in here. So I want to welcome you guys to Wild the TEDx Stage, how to land your first TEDx talk. Why don't you guys tell me how long have you been thinking about doing a TEDx talk? You can just pop it here in the chat. A few years. Yeah, I was the same way, Peter. I actually had doing a TEDx talk on my bucket list for probably about 4 years before I did my first one. Who else? How long have you guys been thinking about doing a TEDx talk? Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So what are we going to be doing with this particular webinar? So I first want to thank you for your time because your time is the most valuable thing that you have. And I really want this to be very informative for you. So what I've done is selected the things that I think are really the most important for you to know when you're trying to land a talk on a TEDx stage. So that's why what I'm going to be talking to you about tonight is it's nighttime for me. I live in Hong Kong. Is learning my number one psychology-based technique that you can use like immediately when you're applying for your own TEDx talk. I want you to take away 3 game-changing tips so that you can be ahead of the curve for landing your first TEDx talk and not get your application thrown into the no pile. And I want you to learn how to leverage your talk so that you can boost your brand and monetize your message. So no matter whether you have a business of your own that you are particularly trying to build credibility for, or you're trying to establish yourself as a brand, or even if you have your own movement or charity, at the end of the day, in some way, shape, or form, you need to be monetizing that, whether it's through, actual new clients or through donations to your organization. So just keep in mind that doing a TEDx talk just for the sake of doing it should not be your end game. So why is this important for you to know right now? Because there are over 18,000 speakers from over 130 countries needed right now for TEDx Talk. And there have been, this number is actually, I should have updated this this morning. This number is probably closer to like 24,000 now. But there are close to 2,000 upcoming events on the calendar right now on the TED website. And all of those events need speakers. And if you average out, say, 10 speakers per event, that's over 18,000 speakers needed right now. And there have been over 100,000 TEDx Talk. So your time for doing a TEDx Talk is actually right now. So why are you in a perfect place? So this is really going to be unlike any other training on how to land a TEDx Talk. Now, I'm unlike anyone who's ever done this type of training because I have a lot of pet peeves. I'm not going to waste your time. At the end of this webinar, you will have an opportunity to choose if you'd like to work with me further in one of my programs to help make your TEDx dream a reality. But you know what? Even if you decide not to do that, you're still going to get tons and tons of value from this webinar. So stay on the whole webinar, and then you can get these slides plus a bonus that will only be available to the people on this webinar. So before I move on, I just want to have a look and see who we've got in here now. Got a few more people. And if you guys have questions along the way, you can go ahead and put them in the chat. I won't answer them in between while I'm doing the slides, but I will come back to them later on. So if you have specific questions that you'd like to answer, you can go ahead and pop them into the chat, and then I'll come back and talk about them later. Okay, so let's get back to it. Okay, so first, like I said, I don't want to waste your time. So here's the thing that I want to know is if this is actually for you so you don't have to waste your time as we go through this. So if you're an entrepreneur, an author, speaker, coach, a socialpreneur, scientist, researcher, doctor, industry or thought leader, and you already have a message that you want to share with the world so that you and your ideas can stop being the best kept secret, this is for you. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to know exactly the exact topic and exactly how you're going to say it on the TEDx stage, but you have to know that you have a message to share with the world. And if you've been struggling to get that message out into the world, or you have self-doubts about whether you really have what it takes to share your message on a high-profile stage, this is really for you, because I was one of those people that had those self-doubts. And if you want to create a frenzy of people wanting to work with you as a result of your powerful message so that you can boost your profile, your credibility, and your income, then this is definitely for you. Now, one of the pet peeves I have about webinars is when people spend like 30 minutes talking about themselves. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to give you a few receipts, a little bit of, so you know who I am, and you know I'm just not like rocking up here trying to tell you stuff about how to do a TED Talk. So why should you listen to me? Who am I? So I'm a wife, a mother, badass entrepreneur, and I have done 4 TEDx Talks. I've actually done those in just over 2 years. I did those 4 TED Talks. I'm also an official TEDx speaker coach. I coach for several different TEDx events here. And one of the things that I had to do was really overcome self-doubt. And what I love when I help people to get on a TEDx stage is that they realize a dream that they've been working on for a while. And I helped someone who was actually rejected 5 times land her TEDx talk within 3 months of working with me. I helped somebody that had a brand new business. She hasn't written any books. She's not famous. She's never given a speech before in her life, landed her first TEDx talk within 4 months of working with me. Now, my background is that I have a background in marketing and sales, but I turned restaurateur. I was in the restaurant business for probably 20 plus years. And then I turned speaker and coach and online entrepreneur. So yes, I have a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. I'm also a 2-time Entrepreneur of the Year award winner. And I've grown my speaking and coaching business from $0 to multiple 6 figures in under 2 years because rent ain't cheap in Hong Kong. So I skip around. I'm from New Orleans originally, so happy Mardi Gras if anybody is from down south. But I've been living in Hong Kong for 25 years. I am really like a mad scientist when it comes to crafting a killer speech. And every single day I am surprised that people will pay me to run my mouth. As I said, I was in the restaurant business. I make a mean gumbo, shrimp Creole, and I will fight you for a piece of a good sweet potato pie. And I know people love Patti LaBelle's, but it's got nothing on mine. And then this is where you can find me online. I've got a website and I've got a couple of different Facebook groups. So let's get right into the meat and potatoes of this webinar. So here's what we're going to be talking about. This is agenda. A fear of public speaking affects roughly 75% of the population. And even for people who need to get up and speak regularly, self-doubt and imposter syndrome creeps in. But the reality is that speaking is one of the most effective ways to build your business or your brand or to get your message across. You know, high profile stages are one of the best platforms to catapult your credibility, profile, and brand. I actually just got asked to speak on a stage in May, and I'm speaking with, one of my like superhero, I'll be fangirling it, but I'll be on that stage with Brene Brown, who has one of the top 5 most watched TED Talks in ever. And that would not have come about if I had not taken the step to go ahead and try and do those TED Talks. Now, unfortunately, many people never make it past wishing and or looking at the application. And like me, they may fill it in, but never hit send. So my story was that I actually wanted to do a TED Talk for many years. And I finally got up the courage to open up the application. I filled in the application and I let it sit on my computer for 3 weeks because I was afraid to hit send. And then one of my girlfriends came in and she's like, "Oh, you finished that thing. Let me hit send for you." And she actually sent it in, Or the other thing that happens is that people get the wrong advice on the best way to submit that application or to pitch if they get shortlisted. And as a result, their applications get fast-tracked to the no pile. So this is why I developed my signature system called the WOW method to help you overcome these self-doubts. And it's a psychology-based methodology so that you can start on the path to making your TEDx dream a reality and sharing your message with the world. So researchers at the University of Salzburg in Austria recently conducted an anonymous online survey and found that 70% of people suffer from imposter syndrome. Do any of you suffer from imposter syndrome? But pop it here and here. If do you ever feel like you that you have it, but you're not sure that you have it? I mean, I do as well. Anybody else feel the same way? Pop it in here if you do. See, now y'all gonna make me feel bad that I'm the only one. So Peter says, definitely. Yes, definitely. So it is, it's something that high achievers feel. Most people feel like an imposter when marketing themselves. And what happens is you feel like you haven't done enough to call yourself the expert. So you feel like an imposter. But here's the thing, true imposters, they don't suffer imposter syndrome. We might know a few people like this. When you have those high levels of self-confidence, that could be the effect of what's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which essentially means you can't recognize your own ignorance. And there's evidence to suggest that imposter syndrome correlates with success, and that those who don't suffer it are more likely to be real frauds. So the good news is that people with imposter syndrome tend to be perfectionists, which means they're likely to spend hours working overtime to make sure that they excel in every single field. So if you do suffer from imposter syndrome, chances are that you're doing a pretty good job. So one of the things that you have to do is stop trash talking yourself. One of my one of my TEDx talks was called "The Biggest Bully Is You," because I always say that we would never talk to our friends the way that we talk to ourselves. So some of the things that might be keeping you from going the next step or doing something that you know will help you is that you think, oh, everybody else thinks I'm good, but what if they find out the truth about me? I'm not good enough or important enough. Who knows the truth and who have they told? Or is there any way to stop people from finding out? And it could be something that happened in our past, like, ages ago. But for us, it just takes a hold of us and it keeps us from moving forward. And, one of the worst ones is maybe there's a lot of people that can do this better than I can, and they should be giving this talk. Now, some of that imposter syndrome comes from the fact that most of us don't like hearing people brag about themselves, and we are reluctant to toot our own horn. And perhaps you're the first of your family or friends who've been in a leadership position and you feel guilty about it, or other people in your family or your friends think you are like trying to be too much. But you have to address your imposter syndrome if you are ever going to have a chance of rocking a TEDx stage. Some researchers actually think that imposter syndrome is a sign of greatness, but it can also lead to a lack of self-confidence, which causes you to not go after what you want. And so until you can learn to embrace and overcome that imposter syndrome, you're never going to be able to hit send and start achieving your big audacious dreams of speaking on a TEDx stage. But you do need a strategy to overcome imposter syndrome. Now, why my approach is important to overcoming this in order to speak on a high profile stage like TEDx, I want to give you a few case studies. And I touched on them a little bit earlier, but I did have one client. Like I said, she had tried 5 times. She had submitted 5 applications to speak on a TEDx stage. She is an amazing public speaker. She actually teaches other people to speak to speak in public. But for some reason, her applications just weren't resonating. They weren't, you could feel in the way that she was writing it that while she was a high achiever, there was something missing there. And so there were certain things that we had to address. And when we put together her latest applications, and within 3 months of really just shifting the way that she wrote about herself, shifting the way that she positioned her actual talk that she wanted to do, she was able to land a TEDx talk, which she gave back in November. Another client who has never ever thought that she would want to speak on a stage like TEDx, but she knew that it would be a great way to build credibility for her company. She had a new brand. She has some fantastic ideas, but she didn't really have a way to get them out there. And so when I suggested that she speak on a TEDx stage, she was a little bit hesitant because imposter syndrome. But we managed to put in place this WOW methodology, and she was able to overcome it. And she too managed to land a TEDx talk within, I think, like 4 months. So here are a few things that you want to watch out for if you're looking to go into something that's going to teach you how to do a talk. So using the wrong methods, a lot of people will go and tackle one issue that maybe they're focusing on their the way that their speech comes over. Maybe they're focusing on a program that teaches them how your body language, and all of that is important, but it's not the key to getting you there. Using the wrong resource. If you're going to somewhere that's doing a speaker's program and the speaker program isn't specific to TEDx, TEDx is a really different beast. One of the things that makes TEDx so compelling is that you don't have a lot of time. Now, I have seen TEDx talks that were less than 4 minutes that were impactful. And the idea is that whatever your idea is, you need to be able to bring it across and have people leave with a call to action in a short amount of time. So you may be given 4 minutes, you may be given 8 minutes, you may be given the full 18 minutes, which is the max amount of time for TEDx. But you don't want to go with like a generalized speaker program, because doing a TEDx talk is a lot different from doing a workshop or a keynote talk. And then using the wrong execution. When I did my first TEDx talk, and we had to actually audition through an open mic, and a lot of people are not used to the way that TED works, in that you have to actually memorize your whole talk, or you have to actually know how to do it from the, out of your head and not reading. And we had a lot of people that had prepared, but they had prepared using the wrong methods and so when they got on stage, they had the wrong execution. They came up with index cards, or they came up with little things on their arm so that they could remember, and it just wound up being distracting. So you want to make sure that you have the right execution tool to help you to do that. So what I've developed is a system that gets you from imposter syndrome to a confident, clear idea worth sharing without having to invest in a shrink, pull your hair out, so that you can be ready to pitch and apply for a TEDx talk in as little as 8 weeks. Even if you're completely scared, or you don't think your message is good enough, or you don't think that you're ready yet, and without having any prestigious credentials or being some fancy pants famous person. And it's called the WOW method. So let me tell you about the WOW method. So the WOW method that I develop, at the base of it is the who am I, why am I declaration process. Then we also have the own your story and walk in your shoes, write your message. So let me just break those down for you. The who am I, why am I declaration, that is the foundation of everything we do. So the who am I addresses your imposter syndrome. It reminds yourself of what you've overcome, and it makes it okay for you to toot your own horn. It makes it okay for you to say that, I'm actually the bomb, that I've achieved these things, and I have something that's important and that the world needs to hear. And when you go through the who am I process, it really shifts your thinking very quickly and allows you to start tackling that imposter syndrome that keeps you from moving forward. Now, the why is it important to tell that story? Whose life do you want to make a difference in? Who is actually waiting for you to tell that story? Because when we have something that we want to share, that story actually doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the person who is waiting to hear that message so that they can be influenced by it. So as an example, the who am I? So for myself, I would say, like, I'm the woman who grew up in the projects, and I now live in, a penthouse, or I now live in this beautiful flat of halfway around the world in Hong Kong. Why am I doing this? I do this so that other people can reach their dreams, and then they can affect millions, and they can make a difference in other people's lives. So when you break it down and you go through the process, it makes what you're doing not about you. The why am I makes you understand that the reason you need to do this is not even for yourself. It's for the person who might be sitting in that audience who hears your story and you save their life. Or they come up to you and say, because of you, XYZ changed in my life. And I will tell you, it happens. It's happened to me multiple times. And then the O is owning your story. So this is a whole process that we go through, but you have to be able to fully embrace all of the parts of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that you can move forward without shame, guilt, or hesitance. So I will give you an example for those of you who don't know me or who haven't seen my TEDx talks. Um, I, um, as I said, I was in a restaurant business. I had a restaurant that was like, it was my baby. I had two restaurants actually. And when they closed, I was devastated. Now, my lowest point came, much like my mentor, which I didn't know who she was at the time, but I'll get to that in a minute. But my lowest point came when I'd gone down to get some money out of an ATM machine. And I knew I had 100 Hong Kong dollars, which is about 13 US dollars. And I got down there and they had taken out the bank charges. So I only had $97 in my account. I couldn't use my card. And I had to walk into the bank. I had to stand in a long line and I had to get to the counter and write a check to get that money out. And I had so much shame and guilt around that story that I know I needed to tell it on the TEDx stage, but I just didn't have. I was fearful of what people would say, because Hong Kong is a town that is all about saving face. You can't let people know when you're going through a bad time. But anyway, once I got up and I told that story. I'm on the other side of the world. I keep up with stuff, but I don't know everything. And I remember after that, I was at a conference, and somebody said, "Oh, I heard your story. It's exactly like this other person who is like this really big motivational speaker." And then I started thinking, "Oh, well, now everybody's gonna think I stole her story." And then there's only like one piece that is very similar. And I was telling I was in this whole place where I'm like, now I can never speak again. I can never tell people my story. And my girlfriend actually said, "Lori, you don't think that you are the only two people in the world that have not been able to get money out of a bank machine to go and buy diapers. You two are just the only two that have been crazy enough to tell everybody." And so I actually that person is now one of my mentors. But it made me recognize that what makes us telling our story so special is that there is somebody else who is going through exactly what you've been through, or what the message that needs to hear the message that you have to share. You're not the only one, even if you think you are. So that's why you need to own your story and be able to overcome the shame and the guilt that's around it. And then the last W is have them walk in your shoes when you write your story. So the people that are reading your application for TEDx, they really need to be able to put themselves in your shoes, even if the experience is foreign to them. So for example, somebody may not have gone through domestic abuse, but if that was something that was like a part of your story, you need to make them be able to feel why it's important for you to get that message out. You want them to really be able to walk in your shoes so that they can also understand that there is somebody else in that audience who needs to hear your message. So we're going to get to the real deal tips, but I want to just find out, is this stuff, is this helpful to you guys so far? Is this helpful? Yes, 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 yes. Okay, fantastic, fantastic. Well, let's keep going. Okay, so here are my 3 real deal tips. These are game changers for you guys. So one of the things that you should do before you apply for a TEDx talk, especially if you know when it's coming up, or you know that there's like a special, one that happens in your area very often, you want to reach out. to that, to the curator or the organizers. You can probably find that information on their website. And you want to ask questions before you submit an application. Get friendly. You want basically what you want to do is you want your name at the forefront of their mind when you put in an application. So I would send an email that said something like, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm Lori, and I see your theme is XYZ, and I'm looking to submit an application. And just what you have to do is you have to pick something that they have not already covered or that they haven't asked for. So some applications will ask you to submit a video, but others won't. So I would say something like, if they don't ask you to submit a video, I would say, oh, I'm just filling in your application. I'm thinking about submitting an application. And I just wanted to check, do we need to submit a video? I didn't see it on there. Or is that something that happens at a later stage? Or you could say, oh, I just wanted to find out if your next stage is an interview or is it an in-person, open mic type deal. So, don't ask a question that is either in the instructions on how to apply or that is in the facts on how to apply. Find something that is not in there, and then you reach out and ask them. And then at the end of your ask, you say, listen, I'll be putting in an application, but even if I don't get selected, I'd love to be involved in some way. And so they know that you are coming from a genuine place. You want to offer to serve if you can. And that just kind of puts you in the forefront, because even if you don't get that particular event, there may be other events in your city where they'll say, oh, XYZ, and sometimes it's not about you. That's the other thing you have to understand, is that sometimes when they don't select you, it's not personal. It's because maybe they have two people with the same types of idea, or maybe they need diversity on the stage. Maybe there's like all men and they need to get some women, or maybe they, they need to get diversity of ethnicities, or, you don't know what it is. So don't take it personal if you get a no the first time, because if you've offered to serve and they think that you do have a good idea, if there's another event in your town, all of those guys know each other. So they might say, I actually got my the second and third TEDx talk because I was recommended by the organizers of the first TEDx talk that I did. So you want to be able to reach out to those guys and make sure that they know who you are. I see just now that I have 1, 1, and 1. That should be 1, 2, 3, but never mind. The second one is, don't be picky about which TEDx stage. Now, this is really important because a lot of times we sabotage ourselves, and I'll give you an example. I had a lady that she was dying to do a TEDx talk. But what she said was, well, I only want to speak on the real TED stage, like the stage that the people who attend, they actually pay like $25,000 to be there. Though that's where you would find like Al Gore, and where you have the really big talks, right? But the reality is that for that stage, there's something like 5,000 applications. So your chances of getting on are not high. However, with TEDx events, there are lots of them. And so even though there are some where they may have 500 or 600 applications, there are others that only have like 50 applications. And the thing is that when your talk goes online, when you guys go to YouTube, or when you go to the TED website and you see the talk, or you're watching Brene Brown's talk or Simon Simonek's talk, which were both TEDx talks, by the way, you don't look at it and say, oh, that was only a TEDx talk. It wasn't a real TED. Or if somebody speaks at a TEDx youth event, you don't say, oh, that wasn't a real TEDx talk, or if it was at a university. So don't be picky about which TEDx stage, because when it goes online, nobody is going to like know where it was. I mean, I know people that have done amazing talks and they've been at high schools. And at the end of the day, it's just TEDx, whatever, and you have on your credentials and you have done a TEDx talk. And then the last thing is application rules matter. So if you've been told that you have to put your idea down within 20 words, don't think that means that you can do 25. Because the reason a lot of curators and organizers will give you a specific word count to do your bio or to do what your takeaways in is because they want to be able to see whether or not you can stick within or you can express yourself in a clear, concise manner within the parameters of limited words, limited time. Generally, the people who will not be able to express their idea within that allotted number of words are people who cannot express their ideas within the 8, 10, or 18 minutes that you will be given on stage. So don't think that you are special in that, in that respect, like, oh, my idea is so great, they won't mind if I use an extra 10 words. They will. So, and especially if it's a big event and they have like 600 applications for 12 slots, then that's a very easy way for them to cull the herd and get you into the no pile. So, so I hope that is helpful for you guys. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is how to monetize your talk. Like I said, this is really important. No matter what your business is, I was very fortunate that I started thinking about this not actually before I did my talk. Some of the stuff kind of fell into my lap, but as I started understanding the power of what the TED Talk was doing for my business, I started to become really much more intentional about it. So what you want to do is use your story or use your talk to position your expertise. Now, that means that you be clear about how your story and your experience can help your clients, i.e., what problem do you solve? So, for example, my first talk was on it was on entrepreneurship and overcoming adversity. And so I was actually able to leverage that into corporate speaking when I was able to help organizations help their teams overcome adversity. What happens when you lose a key account? How do you recover from that? So you have to tie in what you've talked about to what you want to do down the road. And if you start thinking about that as you're crafting your talk, it makes it a little bit easier. But the other thing you have to remember is that TEDx and TED Talks are not places that you sell at. They're not places that you plug your business. You don't even have to mention your business. If your talk is good, people will seek you out. So one of the biggest mistakes people make is wanting to do a TEDx talk, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm not judging you, but they want to do it because they think it's going to boost my brand. It's going to, it's going to help my business, which it will, but not if you are trying to sell something. And in fact, most organizers, if they're really good organizers, they won't allow you to. They'll make you run through your talk before you get on stage to ensure that you're not trying to just use the stage as like a sales venue. So now the next thing, what is with the one? I can't believe I missed all these ones, guys. I have to change this on the next time I do this webinar. Next thing is to be ready. You want to create unique offerings of products and services around your expertise that set yourself apart from your competitors so that you have somewhere for people to pay you when they ask, how can I work with you more? Now, I would like you guys to learn from my mistake. I wanted to do a TEDx talk, but I was just kind of like, I thought I would be good at this, even though I was scared, like out of my mind. But I didn't know what it would do for my business. And so as a result, I wasn't ready for what happened afterwards. I wasn't ready for the fact that when I got off the stage, there was a line of people waiting to get my business cards. And I didn't even have enough of them with me. And people asking for information about, like, if I would come and speak. And, and I've done public speaking before, but I wasn't really doing it that much as like a paid, a paid proposition or a paid part of my business. And so when people started asking me, how much do you charge? I was kind of like, well, I don't know, So you want to make sure that you have like some buckets for people to put it in, whether it's a book, whether it's a website that they go to, whether it's, some free opt-in that you can capture their email addresses, but you want to make sure that you're ready for what happens afterwards, because otherwise you're just leaving money on the table. The next thing that I did to monetize was you have to find your particular niche, the thing that lights you up and that, makes you shine and that you're really good at and that you love to do. And then you get rich in that particular niche. You don't try to be all things to all people. And then be creative about how you get paid. So one of the things that I learned is that a lot of times people don't have the big budgets to like either hire me as a speaker or maybe they wanted me to come out, but they couldn't afford to, they only had a certain amount of budget and they wanted there are non-monetary ways to get paid. So some of the ways that you can be creative is if you have a book, or if you don't have a book, you should get a book. Start writing a book. But you could say, if somebody invited you to come and speak and they had a low budget, you could say, okay, well, I understand that you have a low budget, but if you're giving out, if you have goodie bags or you're giving out something for the attendees, why don't instead you give everybody in the audience a copy of my book and I will give it to you at a discount. So instead of paying $19.99 for my book, you pay $10. So if there are 100 people in the audience and you're paying $10, then you just made $1,000 for like a 30-minute speech. If there's 300 people, you made $3,000. So be creative about how you get paid and understand that there are some non-monetary ways to get paid. If you do an event that's very high profile, ask them, say, I'll do it, but I would want a testimonial from you, a video testimonial that you could use on your website to help you get other clients. So just understand that you have to be ready and that you have to be flexible. So is this good stuff for you guys? Okay, yes, I see some exclamation points, Peter. Yes, yes. Okay. Okay. So let me ask you this. If there was a way to get your message TEDx ready and get your application done right so that you can start booking high profile stages like TEDx and to have it ready and done in as little as 8 weeks so that you can start to monetize it, would you take it? Because now you can. What if I told you there was a breathtakingly easy way to overcome your fears of you or your message not being good enough, thinking you're not ready yet, and any other limiting beliefs that are keeping you from getting to speak on a stage like TEDx? and that you won't even have to invest in a bunch of like unnecessary certifications. I don't have any certifications, for all of the speaking and the coaching and stuff that I do that came as a result of my TEDx talk. You don't have to invest in a bunch of unnecessary certifications to be able to position yourself as an expert in your field or figure out how to monetize it on your own. You don't need to be famous or have a wall full of diplomas or fancy credentials. All it takes to get your chance to speak on a stage like TEDx is to have a little faith. And that those who have the faith and take the leap are rewarded with the chance to impact millions of lives, boost their credibility and their brand so that they can increase income in their business. And today I want the same benefits to you. I want you to have a chance to share your story on a stage like TEDx, increase your influence and credibility, and leverage your talk in a way that is meaningful to you. So I want to introduce you to Wow the TEDx Stage. This is how to pitch, prepare for, and deliver a talk for a high-profile stage like TEDx. It gets you clear on your idea. It helps you crack the confidence code so that you can overcome your limiting beliefs. It walks you through the pitch and the application process without the need to have any fancy credentials, without the need to be some fancy pants famous person, in as little as 8 weeks. Even if you're completely scared of public speaking, even if you don't think you're ready, I know that seems impossible. But allow me to introduce you to Sonia. Sonia is the hypnotherapist I told you guys about. She was a speaker. She applied for, and her applications were rejected 5 times. We started working together, and within 3 months, she was invited to speak at TEDx. Dagmar, she just started her company around the topic of innovation. She had a new company. She had no credentials. No one knew her, but we crafted a compelling idea, and she was invited to speak on a TEDx stage. Diana, she's a polished speaker, a corporate VP for a huge multinational company. She had to prepare for an open mic audition alongside 30 other people. And so what we did was we used the WOW method to help her land her first talk. And she is now leveraging that talk for other opportunities and is being paid as a speaker. So this is what's included in the program. So it's got 2 mandatory modules, and those 2 mandatory modules cover 8 weeks. So the first module is called Ideas Worth Sharing. So you get clear on your, what I call the my, make your mess your message. And the other Y at the end, I just threw that in so it wouldn't look funny. So that's make your mess your message. That's when you own your story without fear, shame, or guilt. Cracking the confidence code with the WOW method and getting clear on your idea. And then the second module is the perfect pitch. So this module teaches you the biggest mistake that people make who don't get selected. It teaches you what you need to do before you hit send, what you need to do for the close-ups after you send in your application. That means the interviews and auditions, what are the different kinds? How do you handle it? How do you answer the questions? What do you need to do in those particular circumstances? And the 8 weeks includes 4 live Ask Me Anything group coaching calls. That means you can come in with an application and say, Lori, look at my application. What do you think about my idea worth sharing? What do you think about, I have a callback. How do I handle this particular question? You ask me anything you need to do in order to move your application forward. And then you have a super bonus module 3, which is a self-study module, which is called Write That Talk. And it's a 4-week boot camp to your killer talk. And that includes a bonus free group coaching call. And that really takes you through my methodology for crafting the talk so that you know what to put in, what to leave out, how to structure it so that you have the maximum impact. My first TEDx talk, I got the only standing ovation of the event. Same for my second TEDx talk. So if you know how to structure your talk so for maximum impact, and so that people leave inspired and they leave knowing that you've come there and it wasn't about you, it was about making the story you were telling for them, then it makes such a big difference. And each module comes with a video and downloadable worksheet so that you can accelerate your path to TEDx. You can share your message and you can monetize your story at your own pace. So we have some fantastic bonuses. You get the super bonus Write Your Talk Bootcamp. You get free speaker one-sheet templates. I think there's something like, we start off with like 4. I think there's 10 now. And we're always adding to these. You get an empowered speaker meditation bundle. You get a monetize your message workbook and an after the talk PDF, which talks about what we talked about, how, having those buckets and what to do after you leave the TEDx stage in order to capitalize on it. And then one of my favorite book coaches, Vicki Gould, who is a 6-time bestseller, she has an ebook hit publish, and actually I should update this because the bundle is so much more than this. These are 2 of the things that's in the bundle, but the bundle is now worth something like $600. So I do need to update this. She's put so much stuff in there. I think there's like 5 or 6 different things that you have, and it's completely free. And then there's a couple of fast action bonuses. So I have a 1-hour private one-on-one coaching session with me for the first 10 people. I can tell you guys my one-on-one private coaching sessions are $750. And then the next 10 people will get a 30-minute private one-on-one coaching session with me. So those are just, that can shift everything for you. Now, for programs that are like mine, when I started looking to do my TEDx talk, I was quoted between $5,000 US and $12,500 for a course like this without all of those bonuses. I was, kind of floored. So when you compare this to other products, most products are generalized speaker trainings and they're not relevant to TEDx. Versus this, which teaches you specific training for high profile stages like TEDx. Other trainings are put together by people who work mostly behind the scenes. That was one of the things that kind of threw me off when I wanted to get someone to help me to apply for my first TEDx talks, that they had never even done a TEDx talk. So they were speaking just from anecdotal information, not from actually having done it. Versus this particular program, which is designed by me. I'm a 4-time TEDx speaker. I'm a TEDx speaker coach, and I have proven results. And the other thing was that the other programs only focused on female speakers. And this is really made for anybody with a great idea to share. Other programs focus only on writing the talk. But this is a real holistic approach. It includes the confidence skills that new speakers need to wow the stage, as well as tips to give you an edge during the application process, because that's really important. Other ones, I had one that I looked at, it was a pricey in-person boot camp. And then you have to pay for accommodations, you have to pay for meals on top of that, versus this program, which can be done from anywhere in the world, from the comfort of your home. You can even do it in your pajamas. And then there was no guidance on how to leverage your talk after giving it. So this is really practical guidance on how to monetize your message after the event so that you can boost your credibility and your personal brand. And what's more, there's a 30-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee, because I know this program works. Now, the good thing is I'm not charging you $12,500. In fact, it's not even a quarter of that. And you will still be giving 10 times more value, more impact, and more results. But there is a catch. You can only get this VIP early bird price within the next 48 hours. After that, we're opening the cart to the public and the price is going back up. So right now you can get Wow the TEDx Stage for only $19.97. Now, having said that, for those of you who are on this webinar, I did say there will be special bonuses for you guys. So these are, my mentor always says you reward fast action. So fast action for me means real money. So these are real money bonuses. If you sign up by the end of this webinar, you will get $1,000 off of that price and be able to sign up for this entire program, get all of the bonuses. If you're one of the first 10, you get a 1-hour free coaching call, which is worth $750. You can get all of that and sign up for only $9.97. As soon as this webinar ends, the discount will be $700 off. So you will have lost close to $300 until the counter hits 0 in 48 hours. And you'll be able to sign up for $12.97 for the next 48 hours. These discount prices will disappear when we open the cart to the public next week. And here's the thing, you have lifetime access to all the modules, the Write That Talk Bootcamp, the videos and worksheets, which we're always adding to, plus the bonuses. And the program starts February 19th. Now, the reason that it starts now is because anybody who wants to speak in the next 6 to 12 months, application processes are underway. So you would need to, if you wanted to speak in June or in September, October, November, which is like peak TEDx season, you would need to start getting organized now so that you can be in a position to put those applications in before the deadlines happen. And this is for those of you who want to run to the website, that's it, wowthetedxstage.com. So right now, you can get all of this, and this, by the way, is a $4,800 value program. You can act fast and get it for $9.97 and save a whopping $1,000 before the webinar ends, or within the next 48 hours, you can get it for $12.97. You can get signed up instantly and start using your first bonus of the speaker one-sheet templates within the next 60 seconds so that you can start seeing results immediately. And for those of you who may not know what a speaker one-sheet template is, it's where you put down all of your general information for anybody who might want to hire you as a speaker and the topics that you cover and a little bit of info on your bio. Now, if all this program did was help you get an idea for a new signature talk, or get you from not knowing how to craft a killer TEDx application and pitch to submitting 1, 2, or 3 applications, or finally allow you to break free from self-doubt, negative thoughts, and overwhelming imposter syndrome, would you agree that $19.97 is a small price to pay? especially when it is compared to your dream. So right now, you really only have 3 options at this point. You can decide to do nothing and keep running after generalized speaker coaching programs and coaches, hoping they'll help you crack the code of how to get on a TEDx stage. But we pretty much both know that that's a one-way, no refund ticket to Noville. Or you can try to implement the WOW method on your own. I mean, it might work. Actually, it'll probably work better than whatever you've been doing, but something tells me that better isn't good enough, right? Or you can get everything included in the WOW the TEDx Stage program that gets your applications and pitches out there without worrying about getting it wrong, so that you have a better chance and can be ready to speak on a high-profile stage like TEDx in as little as 8 weeks. And that's even if you don't have any fancy credentials. So the choice is yours. You could be here. That's actually my very first TEDx talk. So you get lifetime access to the WOW the TEDx stage. The modules, module 1, ideas worth sharing. 2, ready, set, apply. The bonus module of Write That Talk Bootcamp. And then the fast action bonuses, the private coaching calls for the first 10 people, the free speaker one-sheet templates, the empowered speaker meditation, monetize your message workbook and what to do after the talk PDF, Vicky Gould's hit published ebook bundle, which is a $600 value. So you have 48-hour fast action bonuses. You could get a one-time payment of $9.97, which is only available while we are on this webinar, while this webinar is active, or it'll be $12.97 after this webinar ends, or 3 payments of $3.97, and that will obviously increase after the timer runs out. And you have a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. So now I want to see if you guys have any questions. So any questions that you have about getting on a stage or about the program? So I want to tell you guys a little bit about what my TEDx journey. So the first talk that I did, which was in 2016, 2016. So when I finally got on the stage, and I was very when I decided that I wanted to apply, the reason that I had the application on my computer for so long was because the organizers had actually announced 2 of the speakers. So one of the speakers was who would effectively have been the vice president of Hong Kong. She wasn't at the time, but she had been. She was like the second most important person in the government. So she was speaking. Then they had another speaker who was like this big television personality from Bloomberg. And then everybody else was like, okay, you come and apply. And so I kept thinking, well, if those are the people that they're getting, there's no way they're going to select me. But what I didn't understand at the time is that TEDx is actually not about how famous you are. They really just want to focus on people who have really good ideas worth sharing, and that you have a message that will resonate with people. And so if I had understood that, and if I had not been so stuck in my own imposter syndrome for so long, I would have hit send on my application a lot sooner. So that's is something that has been really, really important for me to kind of overcome. So, let me know, what are your biggest fears around doing a TEDx talk? Where do you even go to get the application? Okay, so we have actually a whole process where we help you to nail down some of the, this is from Susan. So you can go to the main TED website. So TED lists out like every, like when I said there's like 18,000, 1,800 events or something. So you can go to the TED website and you can search they don't have the applications there, but they have all of the events listed. So you have to do a little bit of detective work. But fortunately, we have it down to like 3 or 4 steps to find where to find the best stages that'll fit for your talk. And so once you select an event, you can go and see what their theme is, what their requirements are for the application, because every TEDx event is independently organized. And so they all have different requirements. So some may require you to submit a video. Others may require you to write like 100-word blurb on your idea worth sharing. It really just depends on the individual event. But we actually walk you through and help you to find 2 to 3 different places that you can actually put your application in for. That's a great question, Susan. Any other questions? Okay, so no other questions. So this is, when you think about your idea worth sharing, I think there's a couple of people that are on the page now, so I'm going to buy them some time. I can see the action people are getting in on their fast action bonuses, so I'm going to buy them some time before the webinar ends and the price changes. uh, one of the great things and the great experiences about doing a TEDx talk, I actually, I went to a TEDx salon a few months back. Now, the difference between a main stage TED event and a TED salon is that TED salons are generally smaller events. They can be like 50 to 150 people. This one was 150 people. And I had done my TED talk 2 years before. And I was I was actually doing a Facebook Live in my TEDx group and on Facebook. So I'm doing this Facebook Live, and this guy talks, he says, "Oh, you did that talk on Just Keep Swimming," which is kind of the tagline of my first talk. He said, "I still remember that talk. It made such a difference." And so that's the power of when you have an idea that really resonates with people, it sticks with them. I have people that come up to me, at least a couple of times a month, and they say, that was, in my office, that's the thing that we use now. Whenever we hit a rough patch, we say, just keep swimming. So you really want it to be, it's something that it's a great experience for yourself. It's great for your credibility. It will boost your brand. But it's also, when you hear people come up to you and say things like that, you understand it's really not about you. It's about the people who are going through a rough patch and who think about what you went through, because we all grow through everything that we go through. So when you think about how you can help them, that's really one of the core foundations of our WOW method, is understanding that the story that you have, the message that you have, is not meant to stay within you. The message that you have is meant to inspire. It's meant to move someone else. It's meant for someone else to take that story and to change their lives. I know quite a few people that have had come through some incredible things, and you never think that somebody else could have gone through the same thing. But you become the light. You become the person who lights the way for someone else. And that's why it's so important for us to get our messages out there. And the other thing is that, you know, there is the idea of when you do it, it's by letting yourself shine, by letting yourself, giving yourself permission to say yes to yourself and to the message you want to share, that you give other people permission to do the same. So any other questions? I'm going to have like a last call here on questions. That is also going to mean that it is a last call for you guys to go in and get the fast action bonus, which is $1,000 off. And trust me, when we finish, and unless it's a payment that is in processing, the payment price will increase as soon as the webinar is over. This is a webinar only bonus. And then after 48 hours, that price will also increase. And I can just tell you guys that I have seen programs like this that were thousands of dollars more when I started looking to do this on my own. So, so this is, you get everything, you get lifetime access. It works. It's something that I have used to, you know, to get 4 TED Talks and to be asked to come in and do and coach other people. I just got asked 2 days ago to coach another team on another TEDx event. And, you know, the highlight for me this year is going to be speaking at an event with Brene Brown. That is just something that would not have happened if I had not stepped out of my comfort zone and said, yes, I'm actually going to do this. Now, granted, it did take me 3 weeks to get that application sent, and my friend did hit the send button, but this all came as a result of having stepped out. Kay says, congratulations. Thank you, Kay. So, and it will make such a difference to, your life will be completely changed. You know, when I did my first TEDx talk, my business was, you know, it was primarily restaurants. Like I said, I had transitioned into restaurants. I had been in that business for about 25 years. And within 2 years, like now I have, while I do still have a couple of businesses in that industry, my main business now is outside of that. It is the speaking, it is the coaching, it is taking my message out and helping other people get their message out. And as a result of taking that leap and doing something different that I really wasn't expecting before I did that TEDx talk, the life that I have is completely different. So, so I invite you to go ahead and join me, make your TEDx dream a reality. There is some, the bonuses in here are amazing. The Monetize Your Message workbook, which is a game changer in your business. The Vicky's Hit Publish ebook bundle for anybody that wants to write a bundle. She is the absolute best in the business. And of course, the 1 hour, you know, if you're one of the first people, the 1 hour private coaching call with me is invaluable. So I'm going to say going once for questions. Any other questions? Going twice. Going 3 times. Okay, so I want to thank you all for giving me your time. I know your time is very valuable. I really appreciate you spending this time with me. I hope this was really, really useful. And remember those, you know, three tips. Don't be picky about the TEDx stage that you're going to be on. I'll pop them back up here very quickly so you can see them. Let's see. Okay. Want to make sure you guys can see these. Oh, I might have to share. Can you guys see the screen? Can you pop in and let me know if you can see the screen? Slide 21. Okay, fantastic. I just want to make sure I've got you guys. Okay, so here are your tips. Get friendly with the organizers. Don't be picky about which TEDx stage you go on. When it's online, it doesn't matter. People will only see the TEDx behind you. And application rules matter. So I invite you guys to join me, and I'll put the website up here one last time before we sign off. It's wildthetedxstage.com. And Feds has popped it in here. You can click on that link. And thank you for joining in. And I hope this was really useful. So I look forward to seeing you guys in our TEDx group on Facebook. The TEDx group is Make Your TEDx Dream a Reality. So please join us if you're not already a member, and you will automatically get a link to that. And there will also be a private Facebook group for the people that are in the Wild the TEDx Stage program. So thank you very much, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you in the program. Bye-bye.